Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at machine operators.
Yeah. Seems like everyone wants to know what this job really involves these days.
Right. Like, is it for them or is it, not for them?
Exactly.
And, lucky for us, we've got a great article here to help us out. It's called Top 10 Machine Operator Interview Questions and Answers. Brackets, updated 2024 close brackets.
It's very important.
Very important. And it's from a website called Mock Interview Pro.
Good stuff. Always up to date, you know?
Yeah, they do good work over there.
Yeah.
So, published just last November, this article.
Fresh off the press.
Yes, like a brand new machine, right?
Exactly.
So, we're not just going to be focusing on, how to ace an interview. We're going to be using this article to really understand, like, what makes a good machine operator.
What this job is really about.
Right, beyond the, the surface level stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first thing that jumped out at me when I was reading through this was the emphasis on safety.
Oh, absolutely.
Like every single answer pretty much had some mention of safety in it.
It's not just a buzzword. It's like fundamental to the entire job.
It's woven into the job.
Yeah. And I think about, you're working with these massive pieces of equipment.
Right.
Potentially very dangerous situations. It's not just like a paper cut. You know what I mean?
You're not kidding.
Yeah, you could really hurt yourself.
Yeah, and it's not just about them too, right? It's about protecting your colleagues.
Oh, of course.
Making sure the product is safe. It's like...
It's a whole ripple effect.
Yeah, a big, big responsibility.
Absolutely huge.
And, speaking of responsibility, this kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was problem solving.
Oh, yeah.
So there's this one example in the article where the machine suddenly stops working.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right?
Yeah.
And it was like, a software glitch. And in the answer, they're like, oh, I calmly rebooted the system. And I was like, is it really that simple?
Sometimes it is.
I mean, rebooting my laptop, sure.
Right.
But a giant machine.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It can't be that easy.
Well, rebooting might be the first step, but there's a whole thought process that goes into it.
Yeah.
Like, first you got to figure out, is it really a software problem?
Oh, okay.
Or is it something mechanical?
Right.
Then you got to check the manuals, maybe run some diagnostics.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even call your supervisor or technician if it's something you can't handle.
It's a whole process.
Yeah, it's not just pushing a button.
Yeah.
It's about staying calm under pressure,
Yeah.
but also thinking systematically.
Right.
Knowing what resources you have available.
And where to find those resources. So it's like, it's not just being good with your hands.
Wow.
It's also like having that brain, that problem-solving brain, right?
Yeah, you got to have both.
And then the article also goes into routine maintenance, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah. Keeping those machines happy.
Right. And so we're talking cleaning, oiling, adjusting things, replacing parts. I feel like this is where those hands-on skills really come in.
Oh, absolutely. You got to know those machines inside and out.
Yeah.
It's like you wouldn't expect a chef to cook a great meal if they didn't know how to use their knives.
That's
right?
a good analogy.
Same thing here, routine maintenance. It's not just about keeping the machine running. It's about, quality control.
Oh, interesting.
Preventing bigger problems down the line. And ultimately, it's all about the final product, right? Making sure it's the best it can be.
So it all ties back to that.
It's all connected.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so one of the interview questions that I thought was really interesting was about what happens when the production line slows down?
Uh-oh. Bottleneck?
Bottleneck, yeah. And they emphasize teamwork in the answer, like everyone working together to find the problem.
Oh, that's good. Instead of everybody panicking on their own.
Right, and I thought that was really refreshing,
Yeah, that's a sign of a good team.
It really is.
And honestly, that's how it is in manufacturing these days.
Yeah.
It's a lot more collaborative than it used to be.
Interesting.
With all the automation and the interconnected systems.
Yeah, makes sense.
So being able to communicate clearly, work with your colleagues, all towards that common goal, that's essential.
Absolutely.
It's a must-have skill.
And that collaborative spirit probably helps when you're dealing with tight deadlines, which the article also talks about.
Oh, yeah. Those always come up.
Always, right? And there's this example where a client suddenly needs their order, like way earlier than expected.
Oh, boy. Pressure's on. Talk about needing to be adaptable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Got to be able to reprioritize, maybe pull some extra hours, stay calm when things get hectic. These are all key skills in manufacturing.
And in the example, they actually talk about the machine operator staying late to make sure that order got finished on time.
Dedicated.
It's pretty inspiring, that kind of dedication.
It is. And it shows you're not just thinking about your own little corner of the factory.
Right.
You're thinking about the bigger picture, you know?
Yeah.
Working with supervisors, coordinating with other departments like maintenance or quality control.
Yeah, it's got a whole web of things going on.
Yeah, machine operators are kind of at the center of it all.
Speaking of quality control, the article really stresses that it's not just about keeping the machines running.
Right.
It's about making sure the final product is, top notch.
Absolutely. Has to meet those standards.
And there's this example where a machine isn't meeting those standards.
Well,
and the operator has to, systematically troubleshoot the problem.
like a detective for machines.
Ah, I like that.
Got to gather the evidence, analyze the clues, and then boom, solution.
So walks us through that. What would that actually look like?
Okay, so first you verify the issue, right?
Okay.
Is it a calibration problem? Maybe a worn out part? Then you check those manuals, maybe you run some diagnostics, make adjustments as needed. And if you can't figure it out, well, that's when you got to call in the reinforcements. Supervisor, technician, someone who can help.
So it's not always a quick fix.
It rarely is, to be honest.
It sounds pretty intellectually stimulating, though, It's not just mindless button pushing.
Definitely not. Keeps you on your toes.
Keeps you thinking.
Exactly.
Okay, so the article also talks about a company getting a brand new packaging machine.
Ah, new tech. Always exciting.
Right. And the machine operator, in the example, actually studied the manual in their own time.
Wow, initiative.
I know. And they even contacted the manufacturer for clarification.
That's impressive. Really going above and beyond.
Well, and these packaging machines can get pretty complex.
Oh yeah, they can be super sophisticated these days.
We're talking PLC programming, sensors, robotics.
The whole shebang.
The whole shebang. So
Yeah.
it's not just knowing how to press start and stop, right?
Right, got to understand the underlying systems, how it all works together.
And this kind of emphasizes a bigger point, which is that manufacturing is constantly changing.
Constantly.
So if you want to succeed in this field, you got to be a lifelong learner.
Absolutely.
Always adapting to new tech, new processes,
Stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. So it's not just about passing the interview, it's about having that growth mindset.
You got it.
Honestly, this article has really opened my eyes to how complex and how important this role is.
It's crucial.
It's not just a job, it's like a vital part of how the world works.
Think about it. Almost everything we use, from our phones to our cars, has been touched by a machine operator at some point.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it like that.
They're the unsung heroes of modern life.
And we've only just scratched the surface, right?
Oh yeah, there's so much more to explore.
The job title summary in the article talks about so many different industries, career paths,
It's a whole world out there.
you could specialize in food processing, pharmaceuticals, automotive.
Possibilities are endless.
Okay, before we wrap things up, though, I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, what's that?
Safety. I mean, we know it's a top priority.
Of course.
But what does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis? What specific safety protocols are we talking about?
Well, you got to think about the environment, right?
Right.
Heavy machinery, moving parts, sometimes hazardous materials.
Yeah.
So personal protective equipment is a must. Safety, glasses, gloves, steel-toed boots,
Makes sense.
maybe hearing protection, depending on the job. But it goes beyond just wearing the right gear.
Oh, okay.
It's about being constantly aware of your surroundings, following lockout-tagout procedures when working on equipment, and never cutting corners when it comes to safety.
No shortcuts.
Exactly. Safety first, always.
So it sounds like there's a real culture of safety that's instilled in machine operators.
Absolutely. And it's not just about individual responsibility, it's about the entire workplace.
Okay.
Clear communication, regular safety training, and a commitment from everyone, from management on down.
To create that safe and efficient work environment.
Exactly. It's a mindset, a way of approaching the job.
More than just rules and regulations.
Right, and that's what I like about this article. It really gets into the mindset of a successful machine operator.
Yeah, beyond just the technical stuff.
Problem solving, adaptability, attention to detail,
That safety consciousness.
all essential for success.
Listening to you talk about all this, it makes me think that attention to detail
Oh, yeah.
must be a really important skill.
It's crucial.
Not just for safety, but for quality control, too.
For sure.
Catching those little problems before they turn into big ones.
You're often the first line of defense when it comes to quality,
Oh, how interesting.
You're the one monitoring the equipment, watching the output,
Yeah.
looking for anything that seems off.
So it's not just about reacting to problems. It's about preventing them in the first place.
Exactly. Being proactive.
Yeah.
And that takes a deep understanding,
Yeah.
of the machines, the materials, the whole process.
Wow.
You got to be able to spot those tiny variations, things someone else might miss.
So experience plays a big role, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Experience is invaluable.
But what about formal education?
Good question.
Like, what kind of training or qualifications do most machine operators need?
Well, that's where the job title summary section of the article is helpful.
Okay.
Gives us that bigger picture of the career path.
Right.
So experience is key, but a lot of employers want at least a high school diploma or equivalent.
Gotcha.
And for some roles, especially those involving more complex machinery, you might need vocational training
Oh.
or even an associate's degree, something like manufacturing technology.
So there are different paths you can take.
Yeah, it depends on the industry, how complex the work is.
So not one size fits all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
Yeah.
Appeals to a lot of different people.
You could start with an entry-level position.
Right, and then move up as you gain experience, get more training.
Yeah. Maybe become a supervisor or manager.
Exactly.
A lot of room for growth.
Tons.
Okay, before we finish up, I wanted to touch on something we haven't talked about directly.
What's that?
The work environment.
Right. What's it actually like?
Yeah, what's it like to be a machine operator day to day?
Well, it really depends on the industry and the specific company.
Okay.
Some places are super high-tech,
Oh, wow.
robots, computer-controlled systems.
Like out of a movie.
Almost, yeah.
And then others are more
Old school
old school.
or hands-on.
Right.
But generally, you're going to be working in an industrial setting.
So factories, production plants, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Can be pretty noisy, I bet.
Oh, yeah. And fast-paced,
Yeah.
maybe physically demanding at times.
That's definitely different from an office job.
For sure. Takes a certain kind of person,
Gonna be tough.
resilient, long hours on your feet, maybe lifting heavy stuff,
Yeah.
working in different temperatures.
Wow.
But for a lot of people, that's what they like about it. It
Yeah.
keeps you active, keeps you engaged.
Not just your body, but your mind, too.
Exactly.
It's not for everyone, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
But for the right person, it can be pretty rewarding, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. There's that sense of satisfaction,
Yeah.
seeing raw materials turned into finished products.
Yeah.
You're making something real, contributing to the world.
Machine operators, the unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners will take away from all this?
Good question.
I know I've learned a lot.
I think the main takeaway is that machine operation is more than just a job.
Right.
It's a vital field, constantly evolving.
And it takes more than just technical skills.
Yeah, you need problem-solving abilities, adaptability, attention to detail.
That commitment to safety and quality.
All of that. It's a whole package.
And it's a career with so many different possibilities.
A lot of industries, different paths you can take.
If you're looking for something challenging, rewarding, and you're not afraid of hard work.
Machine operation might be the perfect fit.
And hey, if you want to learn more, where should they go?
Check out that article we talked about on Mock Interview Pro.
Great resource.
It's a great starting point.
Well, thanks for joining us for this journey into the world of manufacturing.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Always a pleasure. We'll see you all next time for another deep dive.